G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Well, Neil, thanks very much for making the time to catch up today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to this discussion. We were introduced through a mutual friend of ours.
That's right.
And obviously your area of expertise in brand and marketing is of interest to all our listeners, given it's about growing businesses. Look, without me babbling on too much, could you give us a bit of an introduction into who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, I define myself as brand and marketing consultant. The background story for that is I started off my career in digital marketing, which is still quite crucial nowadays. Then I moved on to brand management in the past few years. And now I'm kind of looking for the next step to not just help businesses make more money, but also help them operate more sustainably as well.
Yeah, and that sustainability piece is a growing theme in a lot of the conversations I have on this podcast. So I think it's a really interesting link. And I guess it's less so in the marketing discussions that we talk about sustainability, but that's where I think you might be able to bring perhaps a slightly different angle to the discussion around both brand and marketing and sustainability, because you're bringing them together. So to give us a little bit of context, tell me about the clients that you typically work with, and why is it that they're coming to you? What makes them want to seek you out?
Yeah, well, at the moment, I'm only working with two main agencies because I'm still quite fairly new in the process. One of them is a B Corp marketing agency that works with other B Corp corporations to help them communicate more about their sustainability, because it is a very tricky area as well, with heavy regulations and speculations. So it's, good intention alone is not enough sometimes. You just know how to do it effectively as well. And when you do it well, it does make more impact. And the other agency that I work with as well, we work mainly with social enterprises at this stage. So early startup, but more for those who also want to make more impact and grow. Yeah, and they're from all over the country. And at the same time, I'm also open to onboarding clients outside those space because, sustainability is an issue that we all in it together, and I want to bring others along as well.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And just for the benefit of the audience who may not be familiar with the term B Corp, B Corp is an accreditation logo, I guess you'd call it, which indicates that a business has been assessed on a range of sustainability measures and is eligible to call themselves a B Corp organisation. So
Yeah,
yeah,
good call.
that's
Thanks
great.
for the context, Rob.
Yeah, no, all good. So tell me, if clients come to work with you, what do you typically do with them? Is there a standard process that you would take a client through to help them achieve their objectives, or does it tend to be different depending on what it is they're trying to achieve with you?
Well, there's like a framework, it's like a usual marketing process, really. So we start with like diagnosis, so understanding the business and the brand, and the customers, like why do customers come to the brand? What makes it successful? What's stopping more customer to purchase the brand or wherever the funnel we want to look at? So that's still in the research and diagnosis stage. And then the third one is to look at the market, like, where the brand is positioned in the market compared to the competitors. So with just three things, like, it's going to give us a really good insight on what to do first in terms of strategy. Yeah, we look at both qualitative data, which could be customer reviews or any qualitative insights, and then we look at quantitative as well. So, analytics or any numbers that kind of quantify that qualitative insights, because you need both. Yeah, so that's how we usually start, and then after we have gathered enough insight, we move on to strategy, and yeah, go from there.
Okay. And from a sustainability perspective, do you see any consistent themes across the organization that you've been working with, that I guess you can bring into the way that you market those organizations? Like, is there a common barrier that organizations have in explaining their sustainability story, or is there a common gap that they're not telling to the market, or are they trying to say too much? I'm curious from a sustainability point of view, what do you notice?
Yeah, I think it varies between locations and categories at this stage. Because if we switch it and look at the customer perspective, like, they do say that they want companies to be more sustainable, but when it comes to action, they haven't really followed through yet. There's still a big gap in that one, and hence why companies don't really see the value in tapping into that space at the moment. There's a research company called Kanta, who is a big market research company that helps with marketers do marketing more effectively. And they found out that sustainability is still one of the leading differentiators of brand positioning. Yeah, which surprises me as well, because, like, the end goal is like sustainability should be like a core competent or core capability that everyone operates anyway. So yeah, I was surprised to find out that, when you jump on that right now, it gives you the boost of your brand to become like more differentiated and able to charge more premium price and lead the category and grow as well. So yeah, that's the roadblock I see at the moment. And with the current economy stage, it's like, sustainability is more like a background thing that we'll get to when we get to, which is fair enough, because, like, for me personally, when I talk about sustainable business, I look at three areas. First one, start with commercial, which is more about how company can survive financially in the long term. So we look at, like, profit margins, brand positioning when it comes to pricing. So once we get, the profits and financial stuff sorted, we can move on to think about how can we minimize our social and environmental impact.
That's a very good point.
Do you find it difficult to define and execute a clear strategy for your small business? Does your team support your strategy? You know you are ready to create the right environment to boost your team's performance. Our 90-day business transformation program is designed for small business owners like you, with 5 to 30 team members who are ready for growth. Every day you'll receive a short email with a handful of growth actions. You'll invest 30 minutes each week in your one-on-one coaching session, tackling your specific growth challenges with one of our experienced growth guides, business owners themselves. Boost your confidence, your team's performance, and grow your small business with ease with our business transformation program at growsmallbusiness.com.
And I guess just to twist the focus of marketing for a minute from customers to employees, I guess one of the things I've noticed is a number of organizations who are making a lot of effort in the sustainability space, more so on the basis of attracting and retaining great employees. And certainly within the Grow a Small Business product matrix, we have a tool called the Ultimate Recruitment Toolkit. And right up front, it talks about understanding your employee value proposition. And like I say, I think sustainability seems to be popping up as a regular theme that employees are looking for. Um, do you have any thoughts or advice around how organizations may uh, do things slightly differently in their marketing if their focus is employees rather than just customers? Does that change things much, or is it essentially the same story and the same process?
I would say pretty much the same. And just to note on that, I think it's not also about just communicating your sustainability. It's about showing it by action as well, especially for employees. Um, because at the end of the day, when they join your company and they found out that you're not as sustainable as you claim to be, then they're not going to stay long either. Same with the customers.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And often, I guess marketing can get confused with just trying to come out with a communication message. But I think what you're trying to say is it's got to be more fundamental than that. It's actually about how you do things day to day, and a lot of communication will just organically happen by doing the right things anyway. People will begin to understand. And yes, sometimes you do need to hone that message or push it out a little more deliberately, but um, you've got to start by actually walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Yeah, no, really good. Excellent. Um, so, Neil, do you have any sort of case study or example you might be able to talk us through to perhaps bring a little bit of this to life in terms of perhaps a customer that you've worked with that, where did they start? And then after they worked with you, what what was the shiny result they got?
Yeah. So in the sustainability space, I've been still working on small projects, but I would share a project that I worked with when I was within the organization, really big organization last year in helping them launching a new hotel. Um, so yeah, just to go back to our previous conversation about commercial sustainability, because my goal at the moment is to help businesses minimize marketing waste, which is not get talked about enough because it's hard to measure. But like last year alone, in Australia, we wasted about $6 billion in advertising waste. So by that I mean that advertising that doesn't deliver any result. So you spend money, but it doesn't give you anything. That's a waste. And 6 billion is a lot of money.
Isn't
And
there that saying that half of your marketing budget's wasted? The problem is you just don't know which half.
yeah, and that saying is, responsible for most of the marketing waste nowadays, because I would argue that you can track your marketing and advertising.
It's a very different world, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, back to that point about commercial sustainability. So, I would focus on doing effective marketing first to minimize that marketing waste. So last year, it was a very interesting year in launching that hotel because if anyone has worked with like a construction project, you know that it is always a moving target. Like when are we launching? Which part are we launching first? So when it and at the same time, hotel still needs revenue and customer to come in. So it was quite for me, it was fun to kind of like scale up and down in terms of advertising spend to kind of balance like the capacity we have to offer and the demand that we want to bring in. So by that, there's a term called zero-based budgeting, which comes in really handy. Because, if you look at the past, marketing budget is usually set up by finance or other people who said, oh, this is the money we have, just spend that. But zero-based budgeting, look at your objectives on what you want to achieve from your marketing effort. So without getting it a bit too technical, we look at two things. So reach, how many people we want to reach in that area in our target customers. And then frequency, how many times you want them to see that ad or that campaign within that duration. And for me, frequency is a main thing in minimizing waste because imagine like, you would have seen some ad that you've seen way too many times and it's not doing anything. And that's the waste. So we minimize that, spend by just capping the frequency to maybe one or two, or however we want to kind of achieve our objective. Um, and by doing that, we were able to not overspend the budget, but still achieve the result. And then, there's still many other factors that contribute to campaign effectiveness, such as your creative or your targeting. But yeah, I would say that's one of the practical ways to minimize your waste and make the most of your marketing budget.
Yeah, okay, great. So if there's one thing that you would recommend for small business owners based on today's conversation, ideally something really practical they could put into action, what would your recommendation be?
Well, I've got a free ebook on my website to help you minimize marketing waste. There's a checklist in that, and there's also like how to in that book, ebook as well. So you can check that out. We can put that in a show note. Yeah, I think that's the main advice. And the other one is I would also suggest is to just, focus, because I understand, small businesses owners, like being small, you have to be a jack of all trades. You think you have to do everything, but I think sometimes focus is really important. You don't have to do everything. You can prioritize, you can delegate, there are other people like you guys who can help them make the most of how they spend their time and resources.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Neil. I guess, look, if this conversation's triggered some interest from anyone in the audience, where's the best place to find out a bit more about you?
Yep, I'm on LinkedIn at Neil Krikul. We can put a link on the show note too, or you can find out more about me on my website as well, as mentioned.
Excellent. Well, Neil, thanks so much for the conversation. That was really interesting. And
thanks for having me. That was
look
fun.
forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you, Rob.
Want to help other small business owners improve their business? There's one quick thing you can do, which is jump over to iTunes and leave a review. Or if you don't have an account, follow us on Spotify.